Welcome to WATERSPOUT, brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. WATERSPOUT offers a behind-the-scenes look at how we conduct our work, the research, the projects, our partnerships, and most important, how we serve the community by balancing the needs of water for the environment, businesses, and the people in the Sunshine State.
Welcome to this episode of WaterSpout. I'm your host, Tiffany Cowie, and today I'm joined by Jodi Slater, Environmental Scientist 4 in the Bureau of Water Resources. She's one of the many extraordinary women who continue to make significant advances in STEM and transform the lives of many at the district. Today we're talking with Jodi about her journey on this career path as part of Women's History Month. Jodi, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today. Tell me a bit about what brought you to the district and what brought you to a career in science.
So the career in science part was easy because in college it was either I had interest in science and I had interest in art. And I figured art didn't make a whole lot of money, so science it was. So I got a degree in wildlife ecology and conservation. And then I went on and got my master's in wildlife biology at Clemson. So I have that background, and that's where I met my husband. And so we both have degrees in the same area, which makes it kind of difficult for this field to get jobs in the same location because they're spread apart.
Yeah.
So I was working down for the Fish and Wildlife Commission in Eustis. And then a job opened up at the district that was habitat related that I could fit in well with.
Tell me about your job and what you get to do maybe every week. What does a day in the life or a week in the life of Jodi look like?
So the job I do now as an environmental scientist in water resources is highly varied. There are so many different things that I touch on during a particular week. In the spring and the summer, I may be out in the field the whole week. I may be doing field work from an airboat or a regular motorboat, either collecting water samples or checking on plantings that we've been doing for submerged aquatic plants. Most of the work I've been doing in the field has been at Lake Apopka. And if anybody is not familiar with Lake Apopka, it is a lake that we have been working on for decades to get back to what it used to be. Is a severely impacted lake. So we could do that. And then also I review all kinds of different projects that are going on at the district to provide input on, yes, you can do this. No, you can't do this. Have you guys thought about this kind of things? So we do lots of review on other projects.
So of all of that, because it's a lot that you get to do, and I think that probably is appealing for a lot of people, that it is varied.
It doesn't get boring.
I wouldn't think. It doesn't sound like it would. And it sounds like you get opportunities to work at your desk, but you also get plenty of opportunities to work out in the field. So you mentioned you go out and do submerged aquatic vegetation. You're looking at that. Share a little bit with our audience about how important that is. And Lake Apopka, I feel like, is a great example of where we're looking to measure and why it is so important.
Yep. So we are looking to put more native plants into Lake Apopka because the whole cycle with native plants, well, any submerged aquatic plants actually, is that they help settle sediments and they also help improve water quality. And those are two big problems that Lake Apopka has. So in recent years, we have actually met our target water quality goal in Lake Apopka this past year. So we're pretty excited about that. And we've also seen in the past couple years before that, we've seen the increase of plants from that improved water quality. So it's pretty exciting to be working in that lake. I was there in 97, 98 when I was interning just as a undergrad student. And so I saw it, how it looked way back then, how it smelled way back then. Everything is so different now, and it's improved so much. It's leaps and bounds. It's amazing.
So is the district just monitoring, or is the district also doing projects to help improve the water quality at Lake Apopka?
Oh, we're doing both. We have multiple different projects to help improve the water quality. It also comes at it from different angles. So we have a fish harvest project that harvests out the fish that go on the bottom and stir things up. They're called gizzard shad. And then those are sold in a partnership for crawfish food to make it more affordable and more cost effective for us. We also plant plants in the lake and work with FWC to keep them free of invasive plants so that they can proliferate and stay, basically, instead of getting overrun. So we do several different things on the landscape as well. We've implemented a bunch of different projects and agreements with other areas and reworked some of where the stormwater drains in and that sort of thing to try to reduce inputs to the lake.
So of all of that, what is your favorite part of that to be part of?
Yeah, being on the lake, going around to the different areas, being familiar with them, figuring out what's growing there, being able to see through time what it looks like and what it looked like last year and the year before and how different it is now.
And I would think knowing you're a part of that has to be rewarding and fulfilling.
Oh, absolutely, especially for Lake Apopka, because it has been one of the most polluted lakes in the state. And it's coming back from that now. So that's fantastic.
It is. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
The St. Johns River Water Management District is committed to preserving and protecting Florida's water resources for generations to come. From improving water use efficiency and reclaiming water for reuse to managing water resources in times of wet and dry periods, the St. Johns River Water Management District is taking action on conserving Florida's precious waters. To learn more, visit SJRWMD.com.
Welcome back to WaterSpout. I'm your host, Tiffany Cowie, and I'm joined today by Jodi Slater, an environmental scientist in the Bureau of Water Resources here at the district. And we're talking today about Women's History Month and your journey in a STEM-related field. Thank you so much, Jodi, again for joining us.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a bit about your role as a woman coming into the district in a science-related field. When you were in college, were you in classrooms dominated by men? Did you feel that, or did you even think about it?
Well, as I said before, like my background and training is wildlife ecology, and so that field, as I was getting into it, was getting more and more women in it.
Okay.
So that was, great to have more and more women in the classroom, in the training, and going out in the field afterwards. Now, being outside, getting sweaty, dirty, buggy, and gross is not for everybody. And, there's all different walks and paths that need to be filled. And so some people, you could tell they were going to go into a more desk-related job. So that is one thing that is important for people to realize and to take into consideration. If they're looking to be in these sorts of fields, they need to volunteer. They need to go out on projects. They need to, before they get out of school, figure out the pathway they want to walk. Do they want to be more into policy? Do they want to be more into planning? Those are more desk-related jobs. So you wouldn't be out with tons of mosquitoes and ticks and 110-degree weather in the swamp and with alligators and everything else. So the field stuff is what I enjoy. So that's the path that I was walking, that I want to be out in the habitat. I want to be out in the field. I want to be out in the water.
So I think that you shared earlier with us about the fact that you really enjoy being outside and enjoy spending your time there. I think we have probably a lot of listeners here who are considering maybe changing their career path to something in science or taking the first step toward their first career, perhaps. Would you encourage them to look at a career in science?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But the thing is, they need to figure out what fits with them and their desires and their tolerance levels and their needs.
Sure.
So absolutely and they need to try different things because they may not know about, most people don't know about all kinds of different aspects of science unless they meet somebody that's in it or knows somebody that goes on the field. I mean, I had didn't even know there was a wildlife biologist or environmental scientist pathway until I got into college and said, oh, they have this in the book. I'm going to have to go talk to some people about that. And then, volunteer on different projects to figure out what you like best. I know some people that are deathly afraid of alligators. They're not the kind of people I want to take with me out into the swamp and walk around, because that is what I have to do as part of my job. I do have to actually go wade around in waist deep water in the swamp, in the marsh. And if you're terrified of alligators, that's not going to work for you.
In fact, you love your job and you love getting outside and being in the water. And so while it sounds, there are mosquitoes and you're working outside, and we know Florida's conditions outside, but you still would rather be outside than be at a desk because of the opportunities that it offers.
Absolutely. We say that it's a day in the field is better than any day in the office anyway.
So what is it out there that really draws you?
The habitat, the animals, the noises, the sounds, the birds, the frogs. It's just, I get to go so many different places that most people in Florida have no idea even exist. And if they do, they only see it on the Nature Channel.
It's true.
They don't get to go there themselves.
I know.
Yeah, it's pretty fabulous.
It is, right? And we also have at the district, like the Lake Apopka Wildlife Drive, I think is a great way that we're seeing, for those people who don't want to get out in the heat, they can get in their car and stay in their car and experience safely the alligators and the birds that you've talked about. But they're still getting out in nature and maybe exposing their children to nature, right? For the first time. How important is that as women, that we make sure the next generation is getting exposed to science at an earlier age? So maybe they would consider this as a possible career path, do you think?
I think it's very important. Certain schools have been trying to expand their programs. They've been really good about their ag programs. Some of them have been really good about their science programs. Most of them have some sort of STEM-related thing. But a lot of it is inside, and technical stuff, which is fine. It's great. They need to be exposed to that too, and that'll help them develop their pathway. But, whenever I do programs for school, I take them out. I make them, listen with their ears, smell with their nose. If we can go in the water, I love to take kids in the water because they get so excited about all the little macroinvertebrates and frogs, tadpoles, and they just go bonkers with that sort of thing. So kids in the country get that experience, and then the kids that are more in the city or don't have parents that are very outdoorsy, they don't get that experience unless they go to these programs. And so certain areas have things they've implemented in the school. So Marion County, for instance, requires that every single school child, every single class, makes a trip to Silver Springs. So different programs like that are fantastic for giving kids that little bit and bite to say, this is really awesome. I want to do this when I grow up.
I love that. I love that you also are taking the time to spend with students to educate them about what different career paths are. And, maybe they will even one day come back to work at the district. I can see that.
You've already had several people that I have had intern for me as college students that have come back as employees and that work with me, or have worked with me in the past during their path. So
I love that. Yeah. And I would think that, you certainly are a great person for them to be able to watch and maybe emulate as they move their career towards science. And I think it's working, right? Because you've got the stories to prove it.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah. Thank you. Jodi, this has been great. Thanks so much for sharing with our audience.
You're welcome.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to our conversation today. Driven by their passion for science and technology, Jodi and many others here at the district are shattering the glass ceiling in STEM-related fields and pushing the envelope in the industry. We hope you'll tune in for our next episode of WaterSpout. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to subscribe so you have firsthand access to future content. Until next time, use your water wisely.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of WaterSpout. To hear more episodes, find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Connect with the district on social media or visit SJRWMD.com for more information on today's topic.